This is going to be a bummer, but some serious stuff already happened today. There was a press conference from the team behind Karmelo Anthony. That's the guy that allegedly, reportedly stabbed Austin Metcalf at the track meet now 2 weeks ago up in Frisco. And some totally unnecessary drama. But the whole thing is going to disappoint you. I have tons of audio, and I'm not going to play the whole hour-long press conference, but I did break it up into biteable chunks here. First, before we even got started with the press conference, there was drama. Now, we were waiting because there was a bunch of TV stations, everyone going live, and I was watching on the live stream for our news partner, WFAA. I was watching on there, WFAA.com. Great job, guys. And like most press conferences, it was starting late, but this one was going even later than usual. And then we learned that Austin Metcalf's dad was there. And so then the team for Karmelo Anthony, who I don't think was even in the building or present at the location, said that we're not going to start this press conference until he leaves. So they asked him if he would leave, and he said, no, this is a public press conference. I have a right to be here. And so then they called the cops, and the cops are like, he has a right to be here. So they had to call the owner of the building, and the owner of the building says, okay, I don't want him here. And so then it becomes criminal trespassing if he chooses to stay after that. So he voluntarily left with no greater incident. But this is before the press conference even started. WFAA was covering it live.
And we are bringing you back here on WFAA Plus to the Next Generation Action Network office in Dallas, where we were expected to hear from the family of Karmelo Anthony at about 11 o'clock. It's about 20 minutes past the hour. And we are told that this delay is because unexpectedly, the father of the victim in this case, Jeff Metcalf, the father of Austin Metcalf, has arrived. He's standing there behind that camera. You can kind of see his shoulder there in a blue shirt. We're told that Mr. Metcalf was asked to leave. He has refused to leave. He is still standing there. We're told that Dallas police have been called. If you are unfamiliar with this case, or if you just need to be caught up on it.
Yeah, so there was drama, and this is unusual. It's normal to see a press conference start late. There were some people reporting that the dad was there, and there was cameras on him, and he was just chilling in a blue shirt and his sunglasses. And I understand them wanting him to leave. Tell you what, if anyone ever knifes my kid in the heart, you probably don't want to be in the same room as me either. You might just want to keep a good distance from me. You know, I respect due process and all that, but you're really tempting fate. And then another weird thing happened before the press conference even got started that kind of made me skeptical. Like, this is more of a clown show, because I don't think this guy's actually going to be. Is he even the lawyer, Dominic Alexander, or is he just the activist, the political activist, Next Generation Action Network? And it's clearly modeled after the National Action Network, like who's that, Sharpton or whatever? And it's got the Africa colors in the background. So we know what this is all about. This is going to be 100% race card and a little bit of attitude. And check this out. Before the press conference starts, like 12 minutes before the press conference starts, he comes out and he gives like a little warning to the media. And this is not normal either. You know how many press conferences I've been to? That's a good time to mess up on me. Make me look like a fool. Is that not going to work? No, it's not going to work. Well, I will just reload it then. But he comes out and he says, listen, we take our security very serious. We don't play. I'm going to ask you one time to move some of this over by the wall. And if I have to tell you again, you will be asked to leave. And just I want to stress again that we don't play. It's like, how many times are you going to say we don't play? That makes it kind of hard to take you serious. Doesn't sound like you're being a serious person. Here we go.
Speaking to public and holding a press conference regarding this particular case. Now, the Next Generation Action Network will talk about Frisco ISD, but we will not do this. I will not ask this mother to do this again. The attorney will not. We won't do this again. Don't ask. We will see you at trial. Whatever venue that is, we will see you there. I stand 10 toes down supporting this family. And I want to thank all of the community leaders and people that I have seen that have came here today. Bishop.
Yeah. So it was not very pretty. I was trying to count how many times he played the race card, and it was quite a few. Let's see. I think I got 7 race cards in there, and it ended with a big screed about how the community needs to be united, and he's talking pretty specifically about people based on the color of their skin. He let the mom speak for a while, and listen, I have a ton of audio. We'll get to most of this before you stop listening to the show. Just stick around. But the one thing that you heard in the news that I wanted you to catch you up on, because Mike Traina just reported it there a few minutes ago, is they have a message for Frisco ISD in the fact that they don't like the idea that he may be expelled. He hasn't been convicted of a crime. I get that. You guys are big fans of due process, I guess. And so I don't know what the argument is there. He should be allowed to finish the school year even though he knifed someone to death. Like, we don't know if it's murder. It may be self-defense. But still, even if it is self-defense, you got a guy that snuck a knife into a school event. He used it to take someone else's life. You could understand why maybe the school would frown on that. I got Saturday school for being tardy to first period 3 times. I got sent to in-school suspension quite a few times. One time for getting on the roof. That's kind of my high water mark. But you don't think it's a reasonable move by the school to expel the stabbing one? So we didn't get a real adult conversation at this press conference. We got a bunch of race cards. We got a bunch of people trying to push back against criticism that they've seen online, on Twitter, on Instagram, and whatnot. They wanted to stress over and over and over that they haven't spent any of the money from the funds that were raised for the defense. But they never actually say, well, we didn't move into a bigger house or we didn't buy this other car. They didn't deny that those moves had been made. They just denied that they were made with the Give, Send, Go money, which leaves the door wide open. Well, yeah, if you're expecting $500,000 over here, maybe you'll break the bank on a car from your own money, or maybe there's people who give you a line of credit knowing you'll get that money, or, the banks are sometimes convinced by paperwork, hey, I've got these assets over here that I'm going to be able to access in like 5 business days. You want to go ahead and start this car loan, or who knows? Maybe it was loaned to him by some activist. Maybe it was loaned to him by a friend or something to that effect. But they never denied getting the new house and the new car, which I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just saying these are the rumors that are out there. And so they went out there to dispel internet rumors, fuss at Frisco High School, and play the race card a few times. They didn't actually tell you how this was self-defense. They didn't tell you anything about the details of what happened that day. This was 100% PR move, and I don't think it was very helpful to the cause. But I'm gonna sprinkle in little sound bites here and there to kind of fill out more of what's going on, because I was being really reductive there. Wait till you hear some of these race cards. It's unbelievable. But coming up next, we have the legal analyst of the James Show, Jeremy Rosenthal, is going to come on to talk about the legal questions that I have, and I guess you have now, about the dad being there and being asked to leave and what all they are and are not allowed to talk about. Jeremy Rosenthal is going to help answer some of the questions that I would know if I had gone to law school. Jeremy Rosenthal from TexasDefenseFirm.com. Welcome back on. He has a right to be there, doesn't he?
He does. He does. It's America. He's got the freedom to be there. It's certainly an emotional time for everybody, but yeah, legally, nothing wrong with him being there.
And on the other side, I can understand why they would not want to start the press conference until he left. So I kind of understand both sides there, but there wasn't anything legally stopping him from being there.
No, and in my understanding, and so Karmelo Anthony has got home arrest, so he's probably at home, ought to be at home right now. So I don't think he was at the press conference. He's not allowed to be around anybody from the Metcalf family, from the victim's family.
Right. So yeah. If Karmelo had got an exception to leave the house and be at the press conference, would the onus be on the dad to leave, or the onus be on Karmelo to not attend?
I think if Karmelo was there and the father shows up, I think Karmelo would have to leave. The dad's not under any court orders, and if the dad does that, then he's not doing anything wrong. And this kind of happens sometimes. We have all sorts of cases in domestic violence cases and abuse cases where somebody is on bond and they're ordered not to be around somebody else, and you run into them in Kroger. What do? I mean, it happens. So you got to tuck tail and be out of there as quick as you can. That's how that works.
All right. So nothing illegal there, but something that doesn't happen at normal press conferences. Also, is this guy that was speaking, is he even a lawyer? Because he didn't sound like he was a lawyer.
So I watched part of it, and I know there's a handful of speakers there. I don't know. I know that Karmelo Anthony's mom spoke. I know he's got a spokesman. I don't know that that's Carmelo's lawyer. So I don't know. I'm not familiar with everybody who he had talk, but my understanding is that they've got a handful of folks on that team that are kind of family. The mom gave a very passionate speech, talked about her family, her safety, her family's safety. Didn't take any swipes at the Metcalfs or that. So that part I did see, and that part is, they're trying to get the word out that, look, everybody needs to kind of lower the temperature here.
So I see a lot of people commenting online that this is someone trying to taint the jury pool. Now, that probably carries a little more legal weight if it comes out of the mouth of a lawyer, but I think people like to throw that around. What is tainting the jury pool, and does this measure up to that metric?
This is a high publicity case, and you're going to get that. We live in a big metropolitan area where these cases are in the media, and they get covered, and people are conversational about it. It only gets to be an issue where people start forming opinions one way or another. And in Collin County, we can have a jury pool that's 1,000 people deep if we have to do it, or maybe 500 people deep. I don't know that they want me speaking for them, but you can cycle through an awful lot of people, and it may be that venue does need to be changed. I don't know that they're, at this point, given the level of publicity that this has had, the nationwide publicity that this case has had, me, it's kind of, you're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. I mean, if the jury pool's tainted, this wasn't what did it.
Yeah, I hear you on that. So there's nothing he's doing wrong from a legal standpoint where he's trying to taint the jury pool. I mean, because I guess someone would want it maybe moved to another jurisdiction if they thought they would get a more favorable jury. Is that at risk here?
Yeah, that's what you would do to change the venue. And I didn't hear a whole lot in the press conference about the facts of it. I didn't hear a whole lot of, well, no, here's what our defense is, and here's where this guy was standing, and that's where the knife actually was. What I heard was, we're getting death threats. We don't feel safe. We've got a family too. We're praying for the victim and their family. Can everybody just kind of chill out? So I have a real hard time thinking that type of information is going to really taint the pool.
Well, a lot of people are pointing out some alleged, I don't even know if they're true, but purchases by the family. And legally speaking, why does anyone care if it's people that are donating to their defense fund, if they want to go spend it on a car or whatever? There's nothing wrong with that, legally speaking, is there?
There might be. I mean, it could be fraud if that was happening. The mother made very clear that they didn't even have access to the money quite yet. And I don't know how GoFundMe works, and probably there's some rules and red tape, and it's probably not as easy as, hey, cut me a check for all this money. And I'd be surprised if that money, I'd be surprised if there were any kind of shenanigans, but I don't think you can raise funds for purpose X and then pay it for purpose Y. I think you could. That'd be a good way to get indicted for fraud. But I think the family also made very clear that that's unsubstantiated as well.
Well, look, if you know that you're about to come into $500,000, you may have some existing cash that you go out and buy a car with, because the only thing they really addressed on the purchases that the money didn't come from, they don't have the give, send, go money yet. And, if there was some additional security or cars or change of residence, that this was all for security purposes. So I don't think they're ever going to come under anything legal negatively from spending the money how they see fit.
I mean, you would think that, you would hope that whatever the people who gave the money gave it for the legal defense or support of the family or whatever was advertised with that campaign, right? As long as that money is used consistently with that, I don't know that. Look, I don't think it's anybody's place to have a problem with it. This family. Look, I mean, the mom, the family. These people didn't do anything wrong to be in the position that they're in. And their son is facing a lot of problems. I mean, certainly their son is alive, which is tragically not something that the Metcalfs can say. But I think it's understandable that this thing hits them like a ton of bricks too. And really, kind of looking at the press conference, I mean, again, it not a lot of, and I didn't hear anything that said, that was trying to advance a legal point of view or a strategic point of view, other than, look, can we just sort of get along here? Can we just sort of put an end to, and there has been a lot of misinformation in this case, so much so that the authorities have gotten involved there and are investigating certain online posts. There's been, I read there's an investigation because the judge's personal information got let out there, and now the judge isn't feeling safe, and that's a huge problem.
I think this is going to be a mess, and it's only going to get worse. Jeremy Rosenthal, TexasDefenseFirm.com. Appreciate your expertise, sir.
All right, have a great day.
I think the most heart-tugging part of the press conference was when the mom got up there, the mom for Karmelo Anthony. I'm just going to let you evaluate this yourself, because I'm going to play some stuff, and then you're going to hear a lot of skepticism out of your old host, but I don't know if you're going to be with me on this or not. I think you will. Let's start at the very beginning. Something you and I talk about on the show regularly is whether it was this one or the Wilmer Hutchins school shooting. One of the ways you get to the bottom of this and try to not get it to happen, or at least get it to happen as little as possible. We're a human endeavor. There's going to be mistakes. Is find out what's the origin of the problem. When you put up metal detectors and clear backpacks, you're not stopping the killers from being created. You're just hindering their ability to kill on campus. And so you're not actually, you're treating the symptom and not the disease. You're not actually curing anything. You're just adapting to it. So in a lot of these stories, this one included, we're like, well, I wonder what his home life was like. I wonder if he was abused. I wonder if he was raised by his biological mother and father. That's something that comes up because the statistics on it are so stark. I don't know why it's not a more popular approach to take, because it does take all this just icky racial angle off of it. But let's go to the mom part of the press conference. This was happening about noon while you were eating lunch.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes.
Oh, stop. There you go. All right, first clue. Different last name, so no. There's a husband back there. I guess it's her current husband now, but different last name. So here we have the situation. All right, we're starting from a broken home, so they're solidifying some cultural question marks. But all right, let's just go ahead with the press conference, see what she has to say.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes. I am the mother of Karmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas, searching for a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us.
What does this assume victimhood? To give them the future you didn't have? You live in Frisco. That's kind of nice. That's one of the nicest places to live in a pretty nice metropolitan area. You're having a hard time over there? You probably live in a more expensive house than I do. I mean, at least now, but you live in Frisco. That's Pleasantville almost. You're not an oppressed. All right. I'll let her speak. Hang on.
To make sure we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way.
Stay-at-home mom, huh? Yeah, you got life real tough. That's the position most of us would love to be in. For a couple of years there, my wife got to be a stay-at-home mom, and it was just until our bank account dwindled back down to four figures. But it was the ideal. I wish we could have kept it up. You're living the dream that most of us would trade places with right now. I mean, not with all the other details, but the stay-at-home mom part sounds pretty good. Let me skip forward to the part to where she gets real emotional here, where she didn't technically do anything wrong in the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf. I guess there's an indirect blame on her for raising the kid that's capable of plunging the knife into the heart of a fellow student for getting his arm grabbed. But, I mean, there's a little bit of sympathy here in the fact that she doesn't deserve all kinds of threats and attention because of what her son did, but she just takes it a little too far, and takes just the wrong angle on it.
My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false.
Well, all right. Did she get into did she rent a new home? Did she get a new car? I mean, does she ever even dispel that? What? She'll never say we didn't get into a new house or we didn't get a new car. That's false. She'll just say we didn't use the Give, Send, Go funds for the car or the house. That's it. So that's super suspicious there.
We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser.
Yeah, but what about the car? Did you get a car?
The co-founder has stated that clearly.
Okay, but what about the new rental?
In reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you say we didn't actually rent a new house or we didn't get a new car?
And it still takes several days to receive those funds once the request is made.
And then she moves on.
I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial.
Discriminated, here we go.
Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to.
He's getting them.
He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do.
What about in the stabbing? You put God first in the stabbing? Notice how she said a 2-parent home. Not biological mom and dad. Obfuscating here.
We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the laws of this state. But those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us.
Who are the laws not applying to?
We will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in legal process.
All right. So they're taking the victimhood angle here. She's acting like she's the victim. That's not a good look. How about a little more deference? She did say, and I skipped over the part where her heart goes out to the family, the Metcalfs, but she doesn't sound like she's playing defense here. I don't know. A lot of that just rubbed me the wrong way. One more clip from the mom before I get to your calls here. This is the part where she was deferential to the family of the victim.
To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
800-288-9227. Let's talk to Alicia in Euless. You're on WBAP. What do you think about that press conference?
I had to turn it off and leave. That was too much for me. But what I just realized, so Mr. Alexander, the man that's representing them right now, he is the president of, the Black Lives Matter. He's also been arrested for domestic violence, for violence on a child, and theft, and has been on probation. So it seems to me that this is only going to be the beginning.
Well, yeah, but listen, Alicia, I need you to be fair. There's a lot of sensitive people out there, and just because you give a baby a brain injury doesn't mean Karmelo Anthony's guilty.
No, I mean, I'm with you. It just, I don't know. I have a weird feeling.
It's a hell of a caveat, though, isn't it? You don't have to say that about most lawyers, do you? Or most guys give it look, just because he beat a baby and he got a brain injury, you can't just assume that the stabbing guy's guilty. No. I think.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just.
Alicia, let me ask you a simple question. Are they trying to create another George Floyd season? Is that what they're trying to do? Do they want this to turn into riots and division and a race war? Is that what they're trying to do?
I don't think they're trying to. It just makes me it's hard to.
Well, Alicia, I hear you hesitating. How about this? Would that be good for Dominic Alexander if this turned into another George Floyd?
No.
You don't think that would be good for him? That'd be the best thing that ever happened to his career. He would, he'd be a national figure. He'd be on MSNBC every other day. He would be like the Anthony Fauci of today's race war. All right. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate you calling.
That's it.
All right. Thank you. Lee, Fort Worth. You're on WBAP. What do you think?
Yes, hi. She's all about saying that her household basically, they believe in the law and obeying the law and God and all that.
God comes first, sure.
What the heck? What the heck was he doing with the knife? Why did he take a knife to attract me? It should have been a fist fight at the very worst. My boss goes to church. Her family goes to church with the victim's family, and she says it's absolutely outrageous for them to be trying to play the race card. She said both of those boys have close friends who are black. And, as far as privilege, they're trying to do this. They're just the attorney, the press conference. It's all just trying to lead up to. They're just trying to set the tone for the racist.
Let me be as deferential as possible, and then as cynical as possible. As deferential as possible. What's he even doing with a knife? Well, I took a knife to school on quite a few occasions when I was a kid. Not because I wanted to get so stabby against my fellow man, but because I was raised on a farm, and every once in a while you'd have to open a feed sack or cut a lead rope or pop a string bells on a bale of hay or something. It was a useful tool that you actually had to have on your person, for reasonable people that lived on a horse ranch. Carrying a knife's normal. I don't think that's his scenario, but that's me trying to be deferential. There are some instances when a kid can have a knife and it doesn't mean he's a murderer. I'm not sure that's what happened here. That's just me being deferential. On the most cynical part, here's me being the most cynical though, Lee, and this is ugly, but it's got to be thrown out there because a lot of people are thinking it. Hey, if you're already going to lose your kid to prison anyway for 30 years, you might as well throw the race card out there and raise a whole bunch of money. And it's like, what's the point of playing the race card? Well, it already got him $500,000, Lee. Let's see how we can get that. So if, your kid's already going to go down the river, because one of the things I like about them, if they are spending this money frivolously on cars and houses or whatever, is every dollar that goes to a Cadillac Escalade isn't going to his actual defense. Every dollar that's spent on something that's, it's renting a house, these people are going to blow through it in 5 years. They're going to be flat broke. Their kid's going to go to jail anyway. And all this is doing is punishing the evil people who see this, feel the racial antipathy out of it, and donated to it. You're just wasting the money of terrible people who would donate to a stabbing killer.
Yeah. Yes. Well, okay. So first of all, you can carry a knife if you're a farmer or whatever, farm boy, but not to a school-sponsored event.
Not a whole lot of horse ranches in Frisco. Yeah.
Second of all, the mother in that press conference, and I didn't hear it till I just heard it on your show, but she is trying hard not to just go all off, postal rage in her voice. You can hear it. There's a couple of times where she is just about to lose it. And so that tells me that, there's anger that boy has learned from anger. He's I think they probably have some anger issues in their family, because anybody that's doing a press conference to try to get you on board. No, and
your
household is.
We've all made that connection. Look, there's got to be something else going on, because most kids are not born with just the human capacity to plunge a knife into another kid's heart for such light and transient causes, if at all. So, I imagine there's some sort of trauma in this kid's background. I don't know. Maybe he was born a psychopath or a sociopath. 2% of us are. But, a lot of people share your skepticism. Thank you very much, Lee. More very emotional callers coming up next on The James Show. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.